Hello everybody, welcome back to the breakdown. I'm Tone. Always great to have you here with me. We've got quite a few things that I want to cover in a fairly short space of time so the video doesn't get boring. So I've got some notes here because there's been a lot that's been talked about in the media just today. First thing I wanted to cover, I mentioned in a couple of videos ago the construction industry continued to build houses, all sorts of other construction was going on as well. And that's actually being spoken about in Sydney, and it's quite a big deal because they're actually stopping it, or at least they're talking about it enough that it makes it look like they have stopped it. And that's why there's people going to freedom marches talking about the construction sides of things. They're not there to create an angry mob. Those people, they're there actually, just saying, look, we should have the freedom to be able to do what we've been able to do up until this point, right? That's important. We need to understand that. But I wanted to talk about apparently, being that I'm an investor, I'm able to, pull these bits of information out of the news when they pop up because they interest me. Rio Tinto, they're going to be giving out some huge dividends to shareholders. Why? Because the iron ore price has skyrocketed. And that comes back to the fact that there's a short supply. And right now, factories all over the place are creating the steel to try to catch up with the supply squeeze that I spoke about in an earlier video. So, of course, that's pushed the price up. But that price has flowed to Rio Tinto, who's obviously mining the iron ore. They're going to benefit. And all the shareholders are certainly going to benefit. So this just underpins the point that I was making the other day, that construction continued, supply and demand, and the supply isn't there, and Rio Tinto are reaping the rewards at the moment. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was, which one will I select first? They're talking about COVID passports again, and they're going to keep pushing this. I'll just briefly talk about the truth of this matter. It's one thing to incentivize people to go and get a vaccine, provide something that they don't already have. It's a completely different angle when you start excluding people and removing rights from people and removing opportunities from people because they haven't done something. Now, that's not incentive. All right. That is, what's the right word for it? Can't really think of it right now, but I'm sure you understand. It is making it so that people go and get it, or you can't have this. It's like a punishment. It's like an exclusion. They're not the same thing. So they're talking about COVID passports and saying that people won't be able to go to the football. People won't be able to go to hospitals to visit their sick relatives. People won't be able to meet in large crowds. People won't be able to travel overseas without this COVID passport. Now, it's not a thing yet, but I do believe that it's coming. And I don't support it at all. But that's what they're pushing. They're going to continue to push this stuff unless, enough people start to wake up. Anyway, so they're pushing this COVID passports thing. the next thing that I wanted to talk about briefly, QR codes. And this comes to the last lockdown that we've had, here in Victoria in particular. I know in Sydney, maybe in Brisbane, they already had a good QR code system apparently up there. But here in Melbourne and Victoria, we didn't have that. And essentially we've now got something that they're really trying to push. But it's interesting. So let's link to the video that I did previously where we had the removalists. It was apparently their fault and their negligence that put us into the last lockdown. Now that it's clear that that's not the case, they've backtracked just enough to open up so that businesses can open up, because, you know, it would have been a really bad look to say one thing and not open up. So they had to open up. That's my belief. They had to. They were between a rock and a hard place. They needed to at least concede some of that ground, or it was going to be a problem. Because questions were being asked. Why were we locked down if these people aren't culpable? They're not going to be held accountable. Why? But the next thing, though, is with this reduction in restrictions, some shops have been able to open and take customers back in again, but you can't go and visit people in their own homes. Now, this got raised on the radio again today, and I really enjoy hearing this information, especially talkback radio, because people can raise these concerns. And one of the answers, sort of a hypothetical answer, but I believe it's the answer, is because each individual home doesn't have a QR code. Now, I spoke about masks being something, and then tracking and tracing would come later. Here it is. And the reason that you can't go and visit people in their homes, or have someone come to visit you in your home, is because your home doesn't have a QR code yet. They're going to track and trace everybody everywhere, all because of COVID. Yeah, I don't think so. But it's a good reason, and people will accept it if they get to have the freedom that they think they have, or think that they want back. Sure, there'll be QR codes required for homes eventually. We're not going to avoid that. That's going to come. So I just wanted to talk about that. I want to hear your opinions on that. Do you believe it's necessary for QR codes to be on homes? And do you think that it's a fair excuse that because we don't have them yet, everything's starting to open up again, but we just can't have people come to our homes? We can't see our relatives. We can't travel far enough to be able to go and see people. I'm just going to raise this. There was a lady that called up on the radio last night who said she has not seen her grown children and grandchildren since November 2019. That makes me sick to the stomach, and it's unacceptable. We'll leave that there. The final thing that I wanted to cover is the payments and support that government has been giving out. Now, last year we had JobKeeper, and that was designed to keep people connected to those businesses. Now, since then, I would believe that a lot of people that were kept to those businesses during that JobKeeper time have since lost their jobs. I'd believe that. I'm sure that that has occurred in quite a few cases. And there's been a call out from public and in the public arena, saying that they want or think that we should have a JobKeeper come back. Of course, ScoMo says, well, JobKeeper was a nationwide program. Okay. And, I mean, it cost the government a lot of money too. And it was rorted. There was a lot of people that were getting it that didn't need it, and took full advantage of it. Some big businesses as well. And so that cost government a lot of money. But he is correct. That was a nationwide thing. And of course, what do you think would have happened if they didn't have that in place? A lot more problems than what we've got now. He spoke about payments. Instead of fortnightly payments, payments would be weekly, and they would be more targeted. Okay, they'll be more targeted to people who are directly affected by lockdowns when lockdowns come into play. Now, this says to me that there are plenty of more lockdowns to come. We're not through them all yet. Mark my words, based on what I've heard, I believe that there will be another lockdown and then another lockdown and another lockdown. Based on what and based on who did what? Well, look, we saw just how ambiguous this last one was for Victoria. People who can't be charged apparently were at fault, and we went into a 2-week lockdown. I'll leave that with you. So now they're talking about weekly payments, equaling basically the same amount as what people were eligible for on a fortnightly payment, but they're rolling it weekly because lockdowns are lasting 1 or 2 weeks. Sydney right now, what are they up to? Maybe 5 or 6 weeks. So they're starting to get a bit of a taste of what we had last year. But this kind of strategy obviously means that they are preparing a system that can be more targeted to manage the little spot fires that come up as they select the times and places to lock people down. Melbourne, the biggest group of population in Victoria, and Sydney, the greatest population density of New South Wales, and we haven't had one in Brisbane yet. We haven't had one in Perth yet, right? So I wonder what that's going to look like. I guess they'll have theirs in due course. And the government will provide funding to them in order to keep the peace to some degree. Which leads me to my final point for this evening. If they think that this money being targeted can support the people so that they'll accept the lockdowns, they're still putting money into the system that wasn't already in the system. Understand, it's new money, it's debt money from the government, and they got it from somewhere. So it's new money. Now, if the people that are receiving these payments don't spend it all, they just spend what they essentially need to, and they keep the rest back as savings, just like they would try and keep some savings from their normal job, I believe we would start to have pressure on the system that would stop the lockdowns from occurring. So again, I give you this encouragement. Spend what you need to only. Retain what you can. I'll reiterate, if you have spare capital that you know you can spend it on gold and silver. Set yourself up with something that retains its value as the currency you're being paid in support payments or getting from your work loses value daily. All this new money that's coming in, this stimulus payments and support payments that keep coming to people who need it to survive these ridiculous lockdowns, it's new money. And as that new money comes in, the money you already have has lost value. That's how the system operates. So support yourself or prepare yourself for what is going to be a continual influx of new money, gold and silver, and start reining in the debt that you might have on any assets. If you've got a house already and your debt is still pretty manageable at this point, rein that in. That should be your first target point. If you don't have houses, any investment properties or any land, probably not the right time to chase those things. I don't believe, unless you're in a position to pay cash for them and avoid debt. And if that's not you, then go ahead and get yourself gold and silver, platinum, whatever you can get your hands on that's going to retain value, as everything else, currency related, just turns to poop. It's phenomenal, the rate of inflation we must be having, and we haven't been given the numbers yet. We never get the true numbers anyway. I just wanted to leave that with you, okay? Understand that by them having this set up to have targeted payments on a rolling weekly basis instead of fortnightly, and not specifically targeted to JobKeeper or JobSeeker, now it's just support payments for those who had reduced hours, it actually shows that they already understand that businesses are going to continue to suffer. And that's that is true. It's going to continue to happen. These lockdowns will continue to put pressure on there, and it looks to me like the support for those businesses is lessened, and there's a little bit more support for those who work for those businesses who otherwise might be unemployed or may become unemployed. They still get these support payments before the lockdown finishes, and maybe they can be re-employed. But who employs those people that got let go if the business they worked for prior had closed their doors for good during the previous lockdown? These are all important questions that we're not hearing a whole lot of answers to. And I might elaborate on this tomorrow because this video's got long enough. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on the news that's just come out recently. I've heard it today, and I think perhaps it is just new today. I haven't heard it before now. But they're talking about targeting the rental market. They're talking about homeowners, investment homeowners, having it imposed upon them the necessity to negotiate with renters about rentals, about how much the rent will be. They're taking power away from the homeowner in order to, again, appease the masses who are being impacted by these ridiculous lockdowns. It's getting messy. It doesn't look like it quite yet, but it's getting messy. Anyway, I'm going to leave that with you. Please leave any comments in the comment section. I do read the comments, and I do appreciate any that you have to share. And I'll elaborate on this tomorrow, I think, when I've had a little bit more time to think about the implications of that. But until next time, if you'd like this video, please like it. And if you haven't already subscribed and you've come across this video, subscribe. I'm trying to do videos every day. I'm trying to bring new content. And indeed, share this video with anyone you wish to. I'm happy to hear any views from anyone that does watch this video and it's their first video that they've ever watched of mine. Just bear in mind that I hear opinions and I appreciate different opinions, but I value opinions based in facts. I'm not overly too worried about how people feel about things. While it does matter, facts rule the roost in that regard. So just bear that in mind when I respond, if I respond to your comments. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time tonight. And until next time, I'll see you in the next videos, and God bless.